Welcome back to Debug to Deploy. So far, I have created 3 videos related to Java collections, and I hope that if you want to learn Java collections from the interview perspective, if you are a fresher or if you are a student and you want to learn something relevant in Java, then this video will definitely going to help you out. Okay, without wasting time, let's move on to our next topic. Okay, so what is that topic? So far we have created the application related to the passport service, right? So what is that application? That in the previous application I have created, where we have passports, and these all passports I saved in the database, that is nothing but the list. And this list I'm doing some configurations. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to do some filter operation there, where I'm trying to filter out the blacklisted passports, okay, out of this list. So that was my previous application. Now let's discuss that what we want to learn in this series, and very relevant we are going to discuss. So let's assume that this is our list. Okay, let's assume that this is our list, and this list has number of passports. Okay, so these all are the passports. So let's say passport 1, passport 2, and so on, and then we have passport n. Okay, so out of this list I want to filter out the things. Now what do you suggest? I have one piece of code, and that piece of code is going to filter it out. Okay, it's okay, seems good, seems sounds, everything is fine. Forget about stream API, forget about executor and whole lot of this concurrency framework which is available in the Java. I want a raw interview questions, right? Let's say why the list fails, right? And how you have to implement the multi-threading concepts right here, right? Because this n means can be the 1 million, it can be the 10 million, it can be the 100 million passports, right? So out of this 100 million passports, how you can rely on one system, right? One system to filter all the 100 million passport at once. It is very difficult, right? And probably after 2 or 3 days we will get the result, right? No one can wait for 2 or 3 days. So the point is how I can distribute this list into the separate part, and how the raw system executes it, right? Actually, in the reality nowadays, nobody is writing the threading code manually, but these understanding is essential for understanding the Java, right? That so I usually ask such questions in the interview and find that even experienced developers, you know, often answers these questions incorrectly. Okay. So what is this concept? So the my question usually is, let's say suppose we have a list of 1,000 elements. Okay. For example, 1,000, but it's not 1,000. It must be the million elements. Now this list is going to perform some operation, and I want to do it through parallel processing, right? How we can do that? Simple question, right? So the point is, what would be our approach, right? The answer should be how you can do that through the simple, you know, without stream API, the basic understanding of collection, Java threading is essential right there, right? So what would be the objective is, what how I can resolve this thing. So let's say I'm creating a thread. Let's say I'm distributing the list into the 2 threads, right? T1 and T2. So this 2 threads, right? So let's say uh, call it mid m, and this one will be m plus 1 till n. Okay, so this list and this list, I'm distributing this list into 2 parts. First part is moving towards this way, and second list is basically belongs to this one, right? Now these 2 threads perform that business operation parallelly, and what I want that if they are performing some business operation, they must be storing that result, right? And that is the essential part, right? So I don't want a two separate result. I don't want that result 1 and result 2, because ultimately I have to return the both results, correct? I have to return both the results. So instead of that, right, instead of that, this one is the wrong approach, right? This one is the wrong approach. Instead of that, I want that the result should be saved in the common list, okay, and this result further can be consumed by or transferred to the user or to the another layer, right? This is what my approach, how you can do that, right? So now this is basically the answer, okay? Now we have to write code in order to implement this whole process. I hope that you clear the idea, the agenda, the problem is clear to all of you. What is this? The thing is that we have a list, okay, and this list has a million records or n records. I want to do the processing. This is the area of do some business operation, right? This one is the business task, okay. Oops, sorry, I'll edit it later on. So this one is a business operation, and then finally what happened that this business operation, these two are the business operation. I want that business operation to do parallelly, okay, so both the operations works together. So one time P1 and next time P2028 executes, okay, that doesn't matter for us, and they are going to evaluate the blacklisted passport and populate the blacklisted passports in the resultant list. The another concern is that resultant list is only one, right? We cannot make the two separate resultant list. One more question I am asking right here is, or that can be your question as well, that why we are making a two thread, why we are not making a 1000 threads, right? So this is my question from you again, okay? Will it going to help us if I'm going to create a 1000 threads or one thread per record? Are you getting my point? Will it be beneficial that if I'm creating 1000 threads or number of threads, so let's say suppose if we have a 10,000 records right there and I'll be creating a 10,000 threads, why not? Okay, so you give me that whether it is be beneficial, it is a good approach or not, okay? One question, and later on we will get some more questions as well, okay? So let's implement the scenario and then after we will be working on it, right? So this is my STS. What I'm doing right here, I just copy this part and paste it and calling it passport app multi-threaded, right? Multi-threaded. So basically what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use multi-threading concepts with ArrayList and trying to showcase you that how the ArrayList should works in the multi-threaded environment, okay? I expect that your knowledge of having the basic threads should be there, right? If you don't know it, let me tell you once again how you can do it. So let's say, for example, how this thing, I'm creating one class and copy paste it, okay, and let's paste it. Okay, so how you can get a thread, right? In order to get a thread, how you can get a thread, so you have two approaches in order to get a thread, right? So first of all, approach one. So what was the topic as of now? How we can create a thread. Okay, so approach one is what? I can extend the thread class. So let's say suppose if you want to create an exception, you have to extend exception. If you want to create a dog, you have to extend animal, okay? If you want to create a thread, you have to extend the thread class. So, okay, you don't need to reinvent the wheel again and again. So class ABC extends threads, right? Thread makes ABC class as a thread based class, right? Another approach is you can also implement runnable interface. Okay, now what would be the another case? The case is that only this two things is not essential. whereas we have to override the rule. Second rule is that we have to override which method? Run method. Okay, that is a public void run method in order to implement the code which your thread is supposed to do. Okay, so that is the another case. And how you can create the object of that ABC. So the object of thread should be new thread and pass new ABC. Okay, so inside this area, so here I'm using anonymous inner classes, and inside the anonymous inner class I can write whole code to implement the task of thread. Okay, this is how. So basically the objective of this video is not to teach you threading and anonymous inner classes, so that's why I'm not discussing this thing. If you want me that I should also discuss threads and anonymous inner classes, to inform me in the comment section and I will make a video on that as well. Okay, so let's move on to the implementation of our application, right? So somehow most of the code we have already implemented in the previous section. For those new audience, those who have joined right here, for them I'm discussing the whole code, and my other audience, those who have already watched the previous videos, can switch to the implementation of service layer. Okay, I'll add the chapters, and based on that you can move on to that part. Okay, so what I'm discussing right here is this code has already implemented there. Okay, and this is the database. Let me add some more records in the database. Okay, so here I have added the code and I tested it. So what I have done, I just created manually I'm creating the 100 entries of that passport. I just wrote some simple code that is either the nationality of Indian or either American. Okay, and few information of related to date and whole lot of these things, right? And I'm adding the expiry years after 20, and intentionally just for XYZ reasons I just added that every fifth entry is considering as a blacklisted, so making it true. Okay, and taking the passport type, that passport type is my enum type, right? So that is the enum, and please check the videos if you have not gone through this series earlier. Okay, and either the passport can be defense or diplomat or government employee or journal, and based on that it will be blacklisted. Okay, and whole lot of this code. Okay, so here I just tested this one and I implemented that app.display, and just trying to figure out that whether whole lot of 100 passports have been implemented correctly or not. Right now, out of this thing, what I want to perform the blacklisted task, right? I want to perform this service layer to filter out the code, right? So instead of this service layer, now I'm just deleting the service layer. Okay, and what I want, or not deleting it, let's make it service. Okay, let's leave it to service layer, and this will be going to do the multi-threaded task, right? So this service layer will filter all the blacklisted, or filter the passports, right, through parallel task. Okay, so it is going to check. So this service layer will filter all the passports through the parallel operations. Okay, so let's implement the parallel task right there. Okay, so in order to do that, what we should do, first of all, let's say, suppose this is my list. I have already created this list, all passports, right? And let's call it all passport is fine, but this list is not that easy list. Okay, I have to make this list little smart, right? This list is not be declared like this way. Okay, so I'm not declaring the list right here. I will declare it in the better approach, or if I did that, then control V, and this code should be something else. Okay, And one thing, second thing is I'm just removing whole lot of these comments, making me confused as of now. Okay, and whole lot of this code I'm removing it. Okay, so okay, this one is a resultant. Okay, not this one, although not this one, even though. Okay, I should change this one. Okay, I should change this one. This one should be some different different list. Okay, now what I have already discussed with you, that I have to create a two parallel operations. Okay, so let's create a two parallel operations first of all. So let's say list of passport. Okay, passport, and let's call it part 1 sum approach. Okay, and similarly I have to do it pass list of 2 from sum approach. Okay, these are these two list. Okay, these two tasks which is going to perform right there. Okay, and then after what exactly I have to do, that I have to create a thread. So let's create a thread. So thread t1, and that thread t1 equals to new thread and new runnable. Fine, this is task 1. Sorry, this is task 1, and let's copy this exactly the same, and it will be thread 2, and it is going to contain the almost same code. Okay, and whole lot of these things. Okay, now what happened next after creating these two threads? So this is containing the code operation 1. Okay, means operation 1 code, operation 2 code, thread 1 code and thread 2 code, and then I have to start the thread, right? t1 dot start, t2 dot start. Okay, and very important thing, I'm not writing right there. Okay, I'm not writing right there again. Okay, so first of all we'll check this one, and then after I'll show you that what would be the thing which we are missing right there. Okay, so let's do the thing. So the point is, right now I want to distribute my list into two parts. Now I had asked that why 2, why not 4, why not 8, or why not 16? If you know the answer, do write in the comment box. Otherwise I will tell you the answer at the end of the video. Okay, that why I am not, why I should, or what would be the strategy of distributing the list, right? And how many threads I should open, I should create. Okay, so let's move on to that part. So let's say I have all passports. Okay, and let's create sub list, and that sub list will be 0 and to some point, right? So let's call it int, let's call it mid of that list. Okay, and what would be the mid of that list? All passports dot size divided by 2, and this is how I'll get the mid. Oops, sorry. So I'm just changing it to mid. Okay, and then all passports again dot sub list, and then mid to what it would be, all passports dot size. Okay, so sorry. So this is how I can create the two list. Okay, so this is what I have done so far. I just created the two separation of lists. I just separated this list into two parts so far. Okay, now what would be the next task? Next task is to write down the operation which allows the thread to filter the blacklisted passports. Okay, so how we can do that? So thread 1 is basically responsible for part 1, and thread 2 is responsible for part 2. Okay, and this is the anonymous inner class. So if you are not comfortable with that, I will also just do it for me. I'll create a video on anonymous inner classes also. So how you can do this thing? So let's say for and passport p, and then will be part 1. Okay, and then if p dot is blacklisted double equals to true, it means that it should be blacklisted, right? And what happened in this scenario, I should add this passport in the list. Which list, right? As the example, I have told you that once it is done, the resultant list should be stored in the some another list, right? Some result list. Okay, this should be the result list. Okay, so I should maintain a one result list, and I should insert this values, this resultant list into that list. Okay, so that list is nothing but this result list. Control C and Control V, right? But there is a problem. Okay, I'll discuss the problem again later on, not right away with you. So Control C and let's copy this, Control V, and making it thread 2 again, and this should work with the part 2 and this, right? So now what you have observed, guys, you have observed that both the lists are the same list, right? Imagine a scenario. Let's say this is a result list, right? And T1 and T2 are the two students. Okay, so let's say this is one notebook, and two student 1 and student 2 is trying to write on the notebook at the same time. Is it possible? No, it's not possible, right? They cannot write at once simultaneously. They have to synchronize the process, right? So how the thing is actually happening, that when T1 is going to write the operation, what would be operation actually? So let's discuss this part, right? So we have a T1 and we have T2. Okay, and here is our list, our resultant list, right? This list is our result list, okay, where we are storing our data. Okay, so at this moment of time, when T1 is going to insert the value into this list, the first task should be T1 has to acquire the lock, right? Has to acquire the lock on this list, and then insert the value passport, let's say 5. Okay, and how it can write down that passport 5? By executing which code? By executing the code list dot add passport, right? By executing this line of code, it is going to execute this one, and this should be the task number 2, right? So what is the task number 1? Task number 1 is to acquire the lock over this list, right? Acquire the lock over this list and then execute this thing, and after writing it, releasing the lock, right? And this is the task number 3. After writing it, it has to open the lock, right? So lock should be open. Then after T2 is get a chance to perform whole lot of this task again, right? And then after T1, then after T2, then after T1, then after T2, and something like this way. Okay, it should be the synchronized. Okay, but this code is big enough, right? I actually have already implemented a lot of the things already there, which is not synchronized, which is not thread safe. So now how I can do whole lot of this thing right there? So Java gave us a very good approach here by this collections class utility method. So collections dot synchronized list, okay, and new array list, and this array list should be the type of passport, right? Passport. So by this approach, what happened, that I can create array list as a synchronized list, okay, as a thread safe list. Now what happened, that normal array list is not thread safe, okay, and as what I have already discussed, that thread T1 and T2 both are trying to manipulate the original data, original list, okay, a same list. So in that So just for this regard, okay, that this wait, this list allows both of them synchronously. I am creating this list a thread safe list. Okay, and how I am creating a list thread safe? By adding the wrapper layer, of collection.synchronizedList method. So this is what this is, a kind of a wrapper. Okay, wrapper. Okay, synchronize this. So this is how I have to create the resultant list. Now my resultant list is fair enough and it is fine, but okay, one very important code is still missing. Okay, and here I am resulting result list. Okay, and this result list should be called uh, I'm going to execute it, and here when I'm executing this code you will get the incomplete information. So this code is fine. Now let's execute it, and when I'm going to run this code I will get the incomplete information. I'm not able to get the actual output, right? Let's check it out why. Okay, so what I'm doing, because it is a service and filter passport, implement this whole code, and when I'm going to check it out, right, what we'll get, this, and let's figure it out. So let's say sys out, okay, and thread 1 and p dot name and p dot get is blacklisted. Okay, is blacklisted. Okay, this information I'm going to print, and what happened, control C, and similar kind of information I'm going to print right there as well. And one more thing, similar kind of information I'm printing right there as well. So thread 2, and this is for thread 2 /t and slash this. Okay, so let's execute it again. So when I'm going to execute this one, what happened here, you are observing what happened, that things are working fine, right, but it is unable to insert it. So we are getting that thread 2, right, user 51, and we are getting false, but here I am exactly getting true, right, then we are getting false and whole lot of these things, right, and then this, because this one is true. So ideally what happened, that meanwhile what happened, that before inserting it into the list, scheduler executes 2 entries of thread 1, right? So this is what we called it the parallel processing. Both the threads are working parallelly. It might be possible that if I execute it again and I will start with a different thread. Okay, let's check it out. So this time what happened, that I am starting it with starting from thread 1 and all the things is working parallelly. Okay, and here we get like user 5 is blacklisted one, but it is going to be inserted later on, little late. Okay, something like this. But why we are unable to get the answer, right? Why? Because the list is not yet complete and main thread executes, right? So this is like behind the scene what happened, that there is a main thread also in the code, right? Because main is also a thread and this whole method is actually running inside the main thread. Okay, sys out and main thread. Okay, so we are starting from here. Okay, this is like main thread and then whole lot of these things, and if I executes the sleep and terminate the things, you can clearly get the output. Okay, so just a second. So while editing I came to know that that section was not recorded. So what I have done, guys, I actually use join there in order to execute the main method. So what happened, that what would be the relevance? So let's say, suppose if I remove that join, right? If I remove that join, if I'm going to run that code again, what would happen, that we will not be able to get the proper output, right? Why? Because joins actually tells that main thread should wait for the child thread, right? It means that whenever the output will rely on the other threads, we should use join, right? Why? Because the main thread is relying on the output of the another threads, right? So let the child thread or another thread complete their task, and once they complete their task, the main thread gets a chance to execute, right? So what happened right here, that first of all we should execute that thread, these two threads completely, because our output is rely on the execution of these two threads, right? And once their execution is completed, then only the main thread get the chance to execute, and then only that main thread executes this method get all blacklisted task, right? So that's why having join right there, like t1 dot join and t2 dot join is relevant, otherwise we would not get the proper output. So without join we are not getting any output, but once I add the join, right, sorry, so once I add the join, and then after when I'm executing it, you can observe right there that our output list, our resultant list now gets completed, and when main is trying to access this part, we will get the output, right? So I hope that you understand the whole concept what I'm trying to discuss in this video. Let's wrap up. So the objective of this entire video is that how we can implement the parallel processing using the ArrayList. However, we know that ArrayList is not the thread safe, right? So how you can implement this thing, and the answer is this entire video. Okay, so if you skip the parts and didn't watch the entire video, I recommend you to watch it again. And if you have any doubt, do let me through comments. I would like to answer your queries. And if you have your own personal topic, right, which you want to discuss with me, you can also write down in the comment section, and I will try to make the video on that. Thanks for watching my video till here. If you have watched the video till here, it means that you have enjoyed my content, you find that video is relevant, and I hope that you also subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys.